people, how is it going? We are in a very special location right now in Bryce Canyon, Utah, Bryce Canyon National Park. And we've been in Utah. How long have we been in Utah for?
8 days.
8 days, and we visited all 5 of the Utah national parks, and it's been so much fun, such a magical trip.
Yeah, we visited like what 4 or 5 national parks.
5.
I forgot to count.
Yeah. What do you think of the national park so far?
For me, if I like want to give a little overview of it, is like for me Canyonlands was the most amazing one with the most amazing views, because the views there are just so amazing, and they're all different. They all have their own uniqueness, their own charm. I really liked Zion too, although it was quite very touristy. It's more like you get driven up with buses. There's a lot of people there, but I understand why there's so much people there, because it's very very beautiful with its beautiful hikes there. Maybe you can tell us more about that. But and then we got Bryce Canyon, also very magical. What was the other one? Capitol Reef, also very beautiful. For me, the views in Canyonlands, and it's the least visited one, were truly amazing. And then the nature in Zion was also amazing. I mean, they're all beautiful, but they all have their own uniqueness, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like Utah is a really underrated state. I could be wrong about that because I am a Canadian, but I feel like there's other states that get talked about a lot more. There's other areas that seem to be more popular. I don't know. Even though Zion, which we went to, is the 3rd most visited national park, being here in Utah, I feel like there's something hidden about Utah. And I felt like that when we were in New Mexico last summer too. I felt like New Mexico and Utah are 2 states that, I don't know if it's maybe the government or certain forces are trying to hide things about that state. Do you feel that here?
Yeah, it's different. I feel like, except for Zion National Park, it's not the most, famous tourist destination in Utah. Because if you, like, especially if you say to people from Europe, I'm going to Utah, they're like, oh, Utah. No, there's other places that, of course, are like California, much more, known. But yeah, it's like New Mexico, like you say, it's more hidden. And I actually really like New Mexico too. We did that last year, and New Mexico is even more small scale. I think I find New Mexico even more like of a hidden tourist gem than Utah, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Utah, yeah, it's definitely more busy than New Mexico overall. So yeah, we kind of made our own little itinerary. We didn't follow anybody else's itinerary, and we started by flying into Salt Lake City last Friday, and we had a late flight where we arrived in Salt Lake City, and then we had a 40-ish minute drive to Park City, Utah. Really cool town. At the end of this vlog where we're talking, I'll put a montage of videos of all the different places that we stayed so you guys can see that visually, but Park City was pretty cool.
I love Park City. It's actually a nice first stop, if you do a little tour of Utah. It's only a 40-minute drive from the airport, and it's really charming. It's got like a nice basically only has like a main street that is the tourist thing to do, but it's got like nice shops. The Sundance Festival is happening there, the world famous Sundance Film Festival. So if you happen to go on that time, and probably bustling with activity, which is really cool. It's a bit of an art town. I really liked it, as a first stop on our way.
Yeah, we didn't really do any outdoor adventure things in Park City. We just stayed there overnight after our flight, woke up in the morning, checked out the town, walked around the historical town, which I really liked. We did go to, we did have dinner at, what was that place called that we had dinner?
In Park City?
The Saloon. Yeah, the Saloon.
I forgot it. I forgot the name.
It's
like a very famous, in Park City, a famous, it's more like a saloon, disco, bar, dancing place, with different rooms. It's basically like a disco saloon or something.
Yeah.
It was it's like a typical bar disco, but it was cool to do for
yeah, that was fun. I would highly recommend Park City, and that's a place you could probably spend a few days or even like a week in Park City. We were just there overnight, and then after that we drove for 4-ish hours down south to Moab, which was absolutely spectacular. We'd never been to Moab, which is the gateway to Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park. And what did you think when we were driving down to Moab?
I just love the change of scenery, In Park City, you still have like the typical pine trees as you see behind me, but then as you come closer to Moab, it really turns into this red desert sandstone, which I personally really love. You know, the vastness of the landscape on the drive. I mean, driving in the USA and in the states of the USA is just an experience in and of itself. You know, you meet like these nice little stops on the way. I mean, we stopped on the way. I think it was after Moab. We stopped in this little like gas station, which was like built into a rock, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. That was nice. So yeah, I just love driving here.
Yeah, the driving is amazing. All over everywhere we've been to in Utah so far, but especially when you get more down to the south, it's just like otherworldly driving from national park to national park. And in Moab, we visited on our first full day Canyonlands National Park, where we watched the sunrise at, what was the place called that we watched the sunrise?
Mesa Arch.
Mesa Arch. That was unbelievable, once in a lifetime. Highly recommend Canyonlands National Park. That's one of our biggest highlights out of this trip, and I think we're really surprised that that's supposedly the least visited national park in Utah, right?
Yeah, it's just like even the park right next to it is what was it again? Dead Horse.
Or Dead Horse State Park.
Dead Horse State Park was just it's a state park, so it's not a national park. It's right next to Canyonlands, but it's, you know, we were not going to do it because we were on our way back and we were really tired. And then we were like, okay, let's do the Dead Horse too. And the view is just, it's almost like the Grand Canyon. The view is just so amazing. You know, it's really worth to do that one too, because it's like, you know, you see the Green River.
Yeah.
You know, snaking its way through the canyon. It's just an absolutely breathtaking view, just as in Canyonlands. So that's highly recommended too.
Yeah, Canyonlands is just unbelievable. It's like being at the Grand Canyon. It felt like I've been to the Grand Canyon before. You haven't been to the Grand Canyon, but it's like, you know, when you're at the Grand Canyon and you just see the vastness of the canyon. Except Canyonlands is more than one canyon. It was really spectacular. Highly recommend that. And then what did we do our next day? When did we do the rafting? That was the second day?
Second day in Moab, yeah.
So we did, what did we do in the morning? I forget.
I
can't even oh, we did Arches. Our first full day we went to Arches, which I think is the most trendy thing to go visit in the Moab area. And I was actually surprised by Arches. I thought it was really cool, obviously, but I actually like Canyonlands way more than Arches National Park.
Yeah, I think Arches is actually the most famous one in the Moab area. Obviously, because there's like a timed ticket entry, you know, they don't let a lot of people in. But in my opinion, I mean, it's very, very beautiful. I'm not gonna talk it down in any way. It's beautiful. But for me personally, if you compare it to Canyonlands, I don't understand why Arches is the most popular one. Because for me, Canyonlands is absolutely, you know, it's stunning.
Yeah, unbelievable. But Arches is amazing. It's filled with all the arches and the iconic, you know, Utah logo on the license plates of that. One arch, I'm forgetting the name of it. What's the name of that famous arch?
Delicate Arch?
Delicate Arch. Yeah, so you get to see Delicate Arch and the fiery furnace area, which is really, really cool. So yeah, Moab was awesome. And then we drove down to Capitol Reef, which was spectacular. Don't you think?
Yeah, Capitol Reef is really like, it's so charming. Like it's also not the biggest national park. You know, you can drive through it in a half an hour in the canyon itself. Of course, the hikes would take way longer, but we did 2 hikes there, and it was so charming. We did one hike up an arch, and I forgot the name of the trail, but that was just amazing. So charming, so picturesque, really, really beautiful.
Amazing. And we stayed at the Red Sands Hotel and Spa for just one night, but next time we come through we'll definitely stay for more than one night, because that was amazing views, very nice hotel, very affordable, I think too, and they had a spa, and just that was a really nice hotel that we stayed at.
Yeah, it was really nice. If you're into spas, that's and if you're in the area and you want to stay in a spa, that's one also that comes recommended.
For sure. And then the next day, we drove to Zion National Park, and that's where we've been the past couple days. Right now, we're in Bryce Canyon, as we said, and we're actually on our way back to Salt Lake City to fly back to Toronto, Canada. And I mean, Zion National Park, you hear that they call it the jewel of Utah, and it truly is absolutely mind-blowing and spectacular. Zion National Park is a must if you're going to come to the area. It's words cannot describe how amazing it was. It just felt, and that's actually where I felt the highest energy. Spiritually, Zion National Park, I felt a very, very high energy, and I feel like there's maybe a portal, or I mean, I think there's sacred sites all over these lands of Utah and Arizona and the Four Corners, but there was something about Zion that felt particularly high vibe. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, it's very, very, very nice. I mean, everything is very, very, very nice there. It's just it's a very special place, and I understand why it draws so many people, because it's very special.
Yeah, and what did we do in Zion? Our first day, we hiked into the Emerald Pools. That was a pretty easy hike. That was very beautiful. And then yesterday was our full-on day in Zion, where we plucked up the courage and we hiked all the way to the top of Angel's Landing, which I didn't know if I'd be able to do, because that's one of the top 5 most dangerous hikes in the whole world, and we did it. We freaking did that. Angel's Landing. And then afterwards we had lunch at the Zion Lodge in the national park, and then we went up to the Narrows at the Temple of Sinawawa and water trekked through absolutely beautiful Narrows area.
Yeah, the Narrows is just it's just, and the way we did it, you know, we combined it. I mean, next time I would do a whole day of the Narrows, because we did Angel's Landing in the morning, and it was nice to have a little bit of cooling down in the water of the Narrows the second half of the day. But it was so beautiful, and I would take a whole day to do the Narrows, go really deep into the canyon, which you know, the deeper you go, as I noticed, the more amazing it gets and the more special it gets. So that's something, if we come back, and we will be back, we're definitely gonna take a full day for the Narrows.
Yeah, for sure. And how would you rate the hikes, or not the hikes, the national parks in order from favorite to least favorite?
I would say Canyonlands and Zion are the top favorites, and then comes, I would say, Capitol Reef for me, then Bryce, and then Arches. And even though we rank them, but you know, even Arches is very beautiful. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, if there's so much beauty here that it's hard to compare. But if I wouldn't, you know, put one above the other, because other people might have different opinions. But for me personally, in my opinion, that is the rating, so to say, that I would give it.
Yeah, I would also say Zion National Park and Canyonlands are tied for number 1. I would say the same as you. And then actually my number 3 would be Bryce Canyon, where we are right now. It's very, very cool. We'll show you guys more in the video clips. The hoodoos. Isn't it the only place in the world with the hoodoos formation?
I think it's the biggest, it's the only place where they have so much in one place.
Yeah, you feel like you're in a different planet, and I also feel a very high energy, very good energy here as well. And then 4th I would say is Capitol Reef, and then 5th I would say is Arches. But also, like you're saying, I think all the places have a very positive energy that we've been to, for sure. Any tips or tricks you would give anybody that's wanting to go to Utah to see the national parks?
Yeah, maybe, you know, just practical is leave early, because these national parks are they're very popular, and maybe with the exception of Canyonlands, especially for Zion and like Arches, is get in really early. And if you get in before 7 p.m, usually the booths are not staffed yet, so you know, you have to make sure you have your park pass, of course, to support, you know, the upkeeping of the nature of the rangers and stuff. But before 7 is actually you don't have lines. It's, you know, it's early to get up. We did it for Canyonlands.
Hello everybody, it is 5:50 a.m. in Moab, Utah, and we are on our way to Canyonlands National Park to go see the sunrise at Mesa's Arch. So supposedly this is one of the nicest sunrises in the world to go check out. I'm really, really excited. This is going to be our first Utah National Park. I'm so freaking excited. We'll be there soon.
But for Zion, I really would recommend, because people say, especially on busy days, Zion parking lot is full at 8:15. So we were there later. We didn't listen to the locals, and you know, we had to park a little bit out of Zion Park, which was not that bad. But then they start to charge you, you know, $40 for a parking day ticket and stuff like that. So the easiest and most fluid experience is just to go early, because that's what everybody's doing. And you know, be there, and then you'll have more time in the day to do it. So yeah, that would be my biggest tip.
I would also highly recommend, I forgot to say, the Under Canvas hotel chain. That's where we stayed in Zion National Park, is an Under Canvas location where you're in glamping. You're in a glamping tent. And I think it was fantastic, and I would definitely want to go to one of the Under Canvas locations again. They actually have one in Bryce Canyon as well, but we're not staying here. We're driving through, heading back to Salt Lake City. So I'd say go check out the Under Canvas locations. Go check out the Red Sands Hotel and Spa outside of Capitol Reef. And Under Canvas has locations in Zion, Bryce Canyon, I think Moab, and Lake Powell. Like, a bunch of them are in Utah, so there's a bunch of them. And I would also say, you know, we've been here for a week, and I think you could spend way longer in this area of Utah visiting the national parks. You could probably spend a month here, actually, visiting, if you really wanted to do an extended trip. But definitely, if you are able to, maybe 2-week trip, 3-week trip.
You know, some of the places we stayed, like we only had 1 week. So, but definitely I mean, it pays off to stay longer, because it's more relaxed. You have more time to do trails. Like, if you really want to take your time, I would say spend 2 full days at each national park.
Yeah.
Maybe Arches not, because Arches is pretty small. You can do that 1 full day. But definitely 2 days for Canyonlands, 2 days maybe for Capitol Reef, 2 days especially for Zion, or even maybe longer if you want, or 3 days if you really want to go deep and explore everything. And maybe, you know, Bryce, I would say you can do in 1 day, because it's not that big. So that would be, you know, time-wise, my recommendation, which of course would make the trip a lot longer than the 8 days we have done now.
Yeah. And you guys definitely, if you're going to be visiting national parks, you're going to want to get an America the Beautiful pass that you can buy at, can you get it at any of the visitor centers?
You can get it at the visitor centers. You can also get it at the Bureau of Land Management offices, which are, you know, scattered through Utah and major cities, you know, if you happen to pass there on your way. But you have to be mindful, because they're closed on weekends. So, but most national parks, you can just, you know, if your first national park you do, and if you're there after 7 when the offices are open, then you can, you know, just buy an America the Beautiful pass at the entrance, just like that. And it actually saves you, it's very easy, it saves you a lot of money, because otherwise it's like $35 per national park. So if you do like 5, an America the Beautiful pass is only $80. You really, it's the best way to go.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching our video all about our 1 week visiting Utah National Parks. Definitely highly recommend coming to this area. I know I keep saying magical, but that's just my word for this trip. It's been absolutely magical, and I'm so grateful that we had this experience.
Yay.
Yay. So love you guys, and have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.